Special thanks here go to not only everybody who turned up on the day, but also board members Rick Brewis for all the practical preparations for the day, including salvaging the railway sleepers from the Nid Viaduct. Keith Wilkinson for arranging for the collection and donation of the sleepers from Keeping Nid Gorge Gorgeous, so thanks to them as well. To the cause, and particular thanks to our voluntary work advisor Barry Slaymaker for all the behind-the-scenes work on risk assessments and logistics that made the volunteer day such a success. I'm also pleased to say that Barry has also accepted the invitation to join the board today, making 4 new board members in total when I wrote this, but we have 2 more. As you may have gathered, in the short term over the summer, it's our intention to install a 40-foot shipping container to be used as a tool shed, workshop, site office and base for the Longlands Common Rangers. Fittingly, the provision of the container is being taken care of by Veloheads and Linda Nelson, using funds raised in memory of her husband Carl Nelson, the Veloheads founder, who very sadly passed away suddenly in May last year. Carl was an enthusiastic supporter of the Longlands Common project and was one of the first people to get in touch offering support from the Velohead staff and students when the project was launched in April last year. Although Carl cannot be with us in person today, he is here with us in spirit, and I'd like to take this opportunity to pay tribute to a great bloke who I had the pleasure and honour of working alongside a few years ago. Carl was a great community-minded man, full of energy and ideas about how to make the world a better place, and you'll be pleased to see what's going on today. And I would just like to pass you over to Linda at this point, just to say a few words about Carl and the Veloheads project.
Hello everybody, can you hear me? Yeah. For those of you who don't know about Veloheads is a community interest project which, as you've heard, was set up by my husband Carl. So originally it started as a bike workshop, nothing to do with education, nothing to do with training, mending bikes. But Carl started offering work experience to young people, and those placements were taken up by young people who struggled with education, maybe school wasn't, the right place for them. And he saw a need, and he changed from mending bikes to helping young people, and so Veloheads, the community interest project, was born. So Carl saw that there was an overwhelming need, and Veloheads has developed, and now we offer vocational training covering construction, bike maintenance, motorcycle maintenance, so it's continued to grow. So as Chris said, when Carl heard about Longlands, he approached Chris to see how Veloheads could support and contribute to Longlands Common. He was very excited about what Longlands would offer to the community and to the environment, but also what it would offer to the young people of Veloheads. It'd be able to expand their experiences and opportunities to learn, as well as making a valuable contribution to the local community. So working with Longlands Common, working with Longlands Common, we're hoping that we'll be able to develop experiences for our young people so that they can gain experience and qualifications in conservation, developing knowledge and skills in such areas as environmental awareness, wildlife conservation, woodland surveys, field surveys, and practical skills such as footpath and surface work, maintaining tools, also just teamwork. So Longlands Common will be a fantastic educational resource, but will also provide so much more for so many people. Sadly, Carl wasn't able to see the idea of Longlands Common developed and growing into something real that we see today. Carl was very much about the legacy that we leave behind. Every day I go to work at Veloheads and see the progress that young people make. I'm reminded of that legacy, and that those people have got an opportunity because one person came up with an idea and was willing to take that risk. Standing here today at Longlands Common, again, it's a legacy that's grown from an idea, followed by a tremendous amount of work from an extremely dedicated group of people. But everybody who has been involved, those who've bought shares, volunteers, present and future, are also part of that legacy. Although Carl's not here to see Longlands Common, he will be delighted with the idea of what he'd call another windy shed, because that's what he described Veloheads as. It's not a shed and it's not windy, but it was something that made an impact. and still does make an impact. Carl often used to say that it's deeds, not words, that we need to do things, not just talk about them. For Carl, setting up Bellaheads was about deeds, not words. And today, the opening of Longlands Common is a shining example of deeds, not words. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. So that's where we are, and hopefully you have an idea of the direction we're going with this project. The map on the handout will give you some indication of our observations so far and some of our ideas for the site, but these ideas are far from complete. Having got this far and having secured the land as a community, we can now afford to slow down and do things at a more manageable pace, taking time to interact and observe and listen to the land and people involved to get the design right. This is a 1,000-year project and doesn't need to be rushed. So today, please take your time to look round it all today and give us your ideas, thoughts and opinions on the third page of the handout, and offer to get involved in whatever capacity you can. So the third page is like a survey. We'd like your feedback. And before you leave today, can you post it in the box that's underneath David Attenborough in the Nid Gorge Community Action Tent? So what do we need? We're always in need of extra admin help to help, particularly at the moment. So you've noticed that the vast bulk of the certificates are here today. That I can't emphasise just how annoying that task has been. But we're nearly there. But there will be some people disappointed, and it's people who have paid but haven't filled the share application form in correctly, or vice versa. We do apologise, but bear with us. You will get what you paid for, no matter what happens, how long it takes. If it's not in my lifetime, it's whoever takes over. So yeah, admin help we always need help with. We will need help with the design and installation of the container, and the design and installation and maybe building of a compost toilet. Any permaculture enthusiasts out there who fancy doing this as a sort of a flagship project? If anyone has planning application experience, we would really welcome help with that as well, because that looks like a really annoying job. About 10 different documents that you have to produce for that one, so that could take a while. Thinking about the ongoing upkeep and monitoring of the common, it would also be great if this could be done by members acting as volunteer rangers on a regular rota basis. This sounds a bit more like it. Rangers could maintain a caretaking presence on the site, be on hand for visitors if needed, and maybe keep ongoing records of wildlife sightings and such like. If you have an hour or two to spare each week and this is a volunteer role that appeals to you, please let us know. So again, put it on the form, and we'll make a note of it. And if we've got enough of you, we can put a rota together and people can start coming and just maintain a membership presence, because it's your land. Yeah. Also on page 3 of the handout, we would like your opinions on the dogs policy you think we should adopt on the common. So have a look at that. It should be really self-explanatory. Please could all members fill in the survey on page 3 and leave your survey form with us before you leave today. Finally, can I express my utmost gratitude to the incredible Longlands Common team who have pulled this off, and who it has been an absolute joy and pleasure to work with over the last 18 months. Yeah, really. Love and thanks also to their supportive and understanding families who give them time and space to dedicate much of their precious spare time to the cause. I'd also like to take this opportunity to really thank John and Angela, who I'm thankful to say have accepted the invitation to step up onto the board as well, for just being around yesterday and really getting stuck in and going above and beyond in their efforts to help prepare for today. So thanks, John and Angela. Stop me having a nervous breakdown. And finally, special thanks from me to my own family, to my wife Donna, and teenage children Billy and Nell, for the love and understanding you have shown during my absence these last 5 years. Hopefully it's been worth it. And thanks for having faith in us, everybody. Enjoy your day.
Hello, can you hear me? First, before I move on to the next report, I'd like to thank Chris for working so hard to make sure that his report has been as brief as possible. The next report is from somebody else who can't be with us because of various COVID-related things. It's Jo Smalley, our membership secretary, who's worked tirelessly in the background, and she's asked us to read this report, the membership secretary report, Jo Smalley. You've got to imagine somebody bigger than myself and female, prettier. So it's the biggest day in the calendar for Longlands Common, and I can't be with you all. For very good reasons, I might add, but that doesn't mean I'm not absolutely gutted. I will not dwell on it. No, instead, I'll stay at home and eat cake and raise a glass and think about how thankful I am that you all got us this far. Yes, dear Longlanders, every single one of you should be pretty darn chuffed with yourselves. Enjoy today, you've earned it. Take the time to let what you've achieved as an amazing community of all ages really sink in as you explore and enjoy the views, your picnics and the Portaloos. What a journey it has been so far, and this is, you know, only the very beginning. It feels a long time ago that we put out the call to action, asking for help to raise awareness of our fundraising campaign. We asked, and my goodness, did you answer? And you've been right behind us ever since. You might not have realised it, but you've lifted us up on the days when we've needed it the most. Your generosity, kind words and encouragement have meant so much. So has your practical support, including becoming campaign champions by delivering flyers and share certificates, putting up posters, manning information stands and roping in family, friends, school pals and complete strangers to get on board and buy shares. Saw the good in this project from day one, and now I want to say thank you for the good that is in all of you, whatever way you back the common. I don't normally like singling people out to say a special thanks, because I get worried that I'm going to miss somebody out who's really important. On this occasion though, I feel I need to try. I've included a disclaimer at the bottom in case I do forget, so that's okay, isn't it? For appearing in our campaign, and also along with Emily P, producing beautiful artwork, the posters and talking to your schools. Huge love and respect to all the schools and other educational settings that have come on board as our partners, and to the staff and children who have made it their mission to help get Longlands off the ground. Thanks also to our school ambassadors for providing that all-important link. Faith D, thanks for your wisdom and for letting the team pick your brains about Thorpe Perrow and allowing me to interview you about nature and good mental health. Thanks to Sean S for his fantastic poster artwork for our awareness stand, and to Helen S for your stunning gift certificate design, which I know will be cherished for years to come. Thanks to Graham and the Harrogate Advertiser for giving us such wonderful coverage for weeks. I know this will have made such a positive contribution to us reaching our target. Thanks also to the team at the Stray Ferrets and other local, regional and national media that followed our story with interest. Mr. Chris Kitson, you better not take this out, So I'll find out, and there will be consequences. Thanks for your vision, your unfaltering hard work, and your passion. Please know always what a difference you have made and continue to make to your community. Last but not least, thanks to my lovely teammates for the laughs, for getting on with it, for listening to me get on my soapbox, and for being so utterly devoted to bringing this project to life in every possible way. The biggest thanks to our members, our donors and supporters, each and every one of you. I'll just read Joe's disclaimer. If I've missed anyone out, hand on heart, I didn't mean to. I will provide cake. You know that you've played your part, so please carry that with you always and be proud. Oh, and by the way, Jeff S., I know I said I wouldn't share cake and my flask with you today. There will be another time, you can count on it. Ends Joe Smalley.
We have been doing an awful lot of work, or other people have been doing a lot of work on our behalf to set baseline assessments. We've been very fortunate to have a number of ecologists helping with the survey of the site in recent months. And these are some of the findings that they've produced for us. Dan Carr, Wood Meadow Officer at the Wood Meadow Trust, has been very generous with the guidance as the project has started out and ongoing as well. Stuart Ibbotson of the committee surveyed the site for birds, and nearly 40 species of birds have been identified over the breeding season, including a sparrowhawk, buzzard and a tawny owl. I don't know if any of you have seen the local barn owls as well. We've got barn owls, as they usually come in about 8:30 at night. 7 species of these birds are on the red list of the birds of conservation concern list. So that's 7 really important birds that we have in this site already that are on the endangered list. So we're very fortunate in that. Dr. Kevin Walker of the Botanical Survey of Britain and Ireland has so far identified nearly 90 different plant species, including the site's trees and hedges. Fortunately, for us at the moment, Himalayan balsam is in common on the site. Ben Ashton, ecologist with Yorkshire Water, has surveyed the site for reptiles and amphibians. It's not an ideal environment for either at the moment, although common toad is a regular presence. Ben's camera traps on mammal trackways found generally high levels of fox, badger and roe deer. Emily Ramsden and Sarah Emerson, working together, surveyed for bats and badgers. 4 bat species have been sighted. Activity is low to moderate, with almost all the mature and veteran trees in the hedgerows having suitable habitats. There are a number of badger pathways across the site, indicating a moderate level of badger activity at the moment. Kerry Morrison of the Harrogate District Naturalist Society, has surveyed for butterflies and so far identified 5 species with a meadow brown and ringlets in large numbers during one visit, probably soon after they emerged from the cocoons. Professor Pippa Chapman of the University of Leeds has been assisting with soil analysis, its acidity, alkalinity, carbon storage, nutrient content and more. Pippa has indicated that the University of Leeds students could track a change in soil carbon storage and biodiversity as a result of land use change. It's worth mentioning at this point that the Longlands Common Board is keen to support research projects that align with the aim of nature recovery. In closing, some of the upcoming developments of the site should be mentioned. We've passed stage 1 of the Woodland Creation Planning Grant. Stage 2 involves creating a UK Forestry Standard compliant woodland plan, and Anna Gigan of the United Bank of Carbon is helping massively with that. We need a plan in order to apply for White Rose Forest funding to create the woodland, which we're aiming to do so in the 2022-23 planting season. DEFRA have awarded a grant to create a new hedgerow along the boundary that came to existence when the site was created, and that will be in the west field down the bottom there. Longlands Common has been selected to take part in a Great Crested Newt Pond creation scheme with the Yorkshire Wildlife Trust, funded by Natural England. Yorkshire Wildlife Trust will design the 3 ponds and oversee their creation, and there is a 25-year management agreement with them. Installation will likely occur this autumn and winter, and a massive thank you to Ben Aston for flagging up this opportunity. Okay.
Thank you, Rick. The next report is the Treasurer's report. Alan Smythe is the Treasurer, second on the left. And you can see it on page 2 of your addenda, and you'll notice what a healthy surplus we've got after purchasing the land of £134,000 to help us with establishing the site. I don't think there's much that Alan would like to add, but I'll just ask. Are there any questions regarding the Treasurer's report? In that case, I'd like you to just raise your hands in favour of accepting the Treasurer's report, please. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. And now to the election to the Board of Directors. Again, could you turn to your agenda? You'll see the directors seeking re-election. Could you, I won't read them because it's there in front of you, but I would like you to raise your hands in favour of electing these directions for the following year. If so, could you please raise your hands in favour? Thank you. If you put them down, are there any objections? Put the gun down, Rick. Unfortunately, Malcolm, who is on our extreme left, is having to resign from the board. But I'd like to thank, on behalf of the board and you, our grateful thanks for everything that Malcolm's done, not only for Longlands Common, but in preventing the road coming through this particular part of the wood. We'll miss you, Malcolm, but I'm sure you'll keep in touch. Do you want him to say 2 words?
I just want to say, first of all, thank you to everybody here who's supported this fantastic project. I've been honestly involved with it at all. I particularly want to thank Chris Kitson, who's been the driving force. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. I just want to thank everybody for your support of this fantastic project. And particularly Chris Kitson, who's been the driving force for this, and before that, stopping this relief road from the state. I just want to emphasise that the only reason I'm resigning is because I don't feel I've really contributed much. I get a little bit of time, not really something I've been terribly good at. I'm focusing on trying to, I was very involved with the creation of the Greenway. My focus has been, among other things, on trying to extend that throughout to the top of Nidderdale, and I want to focus on that, and I think they've got a fantastic team. I've not contributed much, I think it's a good time for me to stand down. So thank you all for your support.
Thank you, Malcolm. However, there are volunteers who are standing for election to the board. On your agenda, there are 3 people: Artemis Swan, Richard Lord and Barry Slaymaker. And since the agenda was written, we've added other people: Ben Aston, John Jackson and Angela Jacks. Could I ask you to raise your hands if you're in favour of electing those 6 people as directors on the board for the coming year? That's positive. Thank you very much. We now turn to another part of the agenda, which is questions and answers. I'm going to ask Chris, our secretary, to explain what happens at this stage.
I think it goes like you ask questions and we answer them. Alan's going to come round with a roving mic, if it works.
Put your hands up if you have any questions, please. One over there.
As Chair, what I will do is not answer any questions myself. I've got the prerogative of pointing to the person that I say will answer the question.
Hello, this is really a question for the Treasurer, actually. Two questions. One is, with the surplus money, are we looking to extend the area of land that we've purchased, if any more becomes available within this local area?
Before Alan answers that, could I just say that Henshaws, who've been more than generous to us, our friends, are going to rewild the field next to us, a large field adjacent to our property. So it will, more or less, become an extension to Longlands Common. And we're hoping that they will give members access to that rewilding. Over to Alan.
Can I just ask, is that at their expense, or?
Yes, that's at their expense.
Well, a round of applause is, would be appreciated. And the other thing I wanted to ask is, if there's people that want to become members in future, will there be another release of shares, or will there be shares made available when shares are released by people who, for whatever reason, want to hand them back to the community? So is there going to be an opportunity for other people to become shareholders in future?
Could I ask Chris to answer that question?
There will be, but that requires to be another share offer drawn up, which is quite a considerable task. I think we were also sort of expected to have a bit of a lull between one share offer and another, but we will eventually, probably 3-4 years down the line, be looking at setting up an open share offer, which means that anybody can join at any time, just now and into the foreseeable future.
Does that answer your question? Before we move on to any more questions, I think I forgot to mention when we were electing board members, if anybody here would like to be a board member but hasn't felt that they could come forward, if they see any of us, they could register their interest in becoming board members with a view to being elected next year. So please, anybody who's a shareholder can become a board member if we show an interest. Are there any?
Yeah, so if you do want to get involved at board level, you can come on board straight away. And it's like a trial, test it out for the next year, and then stand for election next year. So yeah, please, put yourself forward if you'd like to be involved at the sort of decision-making level.
Any more questions?
Yeah.
Alan, at the back.
Planted here, for one.
Are there any?
Sorry, we couldn't hear you.
What types of trees are planted here?
I'll hand over to Rick Ruiz to answer that. What kind of trees will be planted here is the question.
We'll be planting indigenous species. Anything that's sort of in the vicinity, in the northern England vicinity at the moment, that's growing well, we will plant. We've just got to be careful with the ash dieback. We can't plant a lot of ash trees at the moment, but we will. We're getting advice from the White Rose Forest. They're overseeing the species list, but there will be, you know, what you see at the moment. We're not changing the countryside. We're adding to it, and hopefully creating more diverse habitats.
My second question is, how long do you expect it to take to develop into a reasonable level?
How long do we expect the trees to?
I mean, the site, Longlands Common, how long do you expect it will take to complete?
Well, it'll always be ongoing. This next autumn, winter, we're going to dig the ponds out, so they'll start to create habitats. We're going to cut most of the hay crop down, although we will be leaving some standing grass, and we will be having wildflower meadows. We're going to take the fertility out of the grass, fertility out of the land. So we're going to take the hay crop off, remove the grass, and that'll lower the fertility and increase the indigenous wildflowers and such like the natural seed bank in the soil to spring up and see what we've got. And that'll take time. And in the areas that aren't very important for wildflowers, etc., and wildlife habitats, that's where we're going to plant the trees to start with. So they'll be springing up on an ongoing basis, year after year.
Over here. Alan, over here.
Thank you, Rick.
Wait, can I just ask?
Oh, sorry, somebody else got one.
Hello, Janet Thackeray. Have you finished your ecological surveys now?
The question is, have we finished our ecological surveys now? I'm going to hand it back over to Rick and put him on the spot.
For this year, yes. Yeah, we'll be doing these surveys regularly over a number of years. Okay, maybe one every 2 years or something like that, possibly every year. And trying to come up with what will have us to offer.
So you talked about taking the grass and increasing the fertility of the soil. Is that basically the next programme?
Yeah, we definitely have to decrease the fertility of the soil because it's being fertilised by the local farmer. Artificial fertiliser being put on every year, well, 2-3 times a year. So we need to get that fertility down.
Does that involve taking off topsoil?
No, we're not going to take topsoil. There isn't a lot of topsoil at the moment anyway. You're looking at 8-9 inches of topsoil, so it's very shallow really.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, and thank you, Rick, for answering. Have we any more questions? Oh, we've got back to you. Yeah. I'm going to stop the questions at 1 o'clock when we have the tree planting.
Yeah. One more here. Yeah. Are there any plans to look for other sites around the Harrogate area?
I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
Are there any plans to look at other sites in the area?
I think if something becomes available in this area that will add to this site, that corner there, we're only 100 yards away from Bilton Lane. That eventually would be a sort of logical place to try and buy if it became available for sale. But whether we'd have the funds to do it at the time depends when it goes on sale. But I think it could be something that we draw up another share offer for. But yeah, I mean, I think this is the start. This isn't, I think the community of Harrogate and Knaresborough really perhaps haven't had much access to the green belt between our towns, and we've never had ownership of it. Since the days before, before it became Bilton Park and was taken, for the Royal Hunting Park. It's never belonged to the commoners until today. So, should be the start of things to come.
we're hoping the local landowners will see how beneficial Longlands Common is to the community and give us first refusal on any land that they're hoping to sell.
Okay, thank you. I'm a great believer in open access rules, and I did touch on this with Joe Smalley via texting and messaging and all sorts. And I did put one name forward, Dementia Forward, which is a brilliant organisation. And I know Joe Smalley did get in touch with them. Will you be having a specialist on your board? Will you be having like a disability or open access person, you know, to help advise? Or will you be calling on Henshaws and Dementia Forward to do?
This is on a question on open access. I'll be open to Chris to answer.
Alan, would you like to give the microphone to Richard and say a few words, possibly? There is our access specialist.
Hello. I've only really just got involved since February time, I think. Trying to make sure that Longlands Common is going to have access to wheelchairs. I'm glad there's a few other people here today using wheelchairs. Hopefully they can test out the tracks. I'm going to try and make sure that all the tracks around here we have access. And as for, I wrote a little piece about disability access in the last newsletter. Anything I can do or any suggestions you come up with, I'll certainly happily try and contact other disability groups in the area, see what we can put together and make sure it's input into the land.
Thank you, Richard. Yes. Can I just add that Henshaws are giving us very good advice. Our pass, for instance, on how to make those accessible for people who need it. So we do have quite a few specialists working as very good advice. I think we have time for one more question that we would like to ask.
When can we start planting trees? Can we volunteer to help with the planting?
Yeah, definitely. That's what it's all about. And I said we've put the brakes on a bit because we didn't want to be planting trees in the wrong place. So we called it initially a community woodland, but what we will be creating, because biodiversity is probably of all our objects the most important because it's the most neglected. I think with what's going on with sort of development and things like that, wildlife needs a place to live. And to be frank, you know, human beings have stolen a lot of the places from the wildlife. So we have to put biodiversity first, and a full tree canopy woodland is not the best way to do that. The best way to do that is to create mixed habitats which include trees and areas of trees, but particularly the pond creation will be will kickstart the biodiversity, because once you put ponds in, everything else follows. In terms of timing, it's small and slow solutions. We don't want to be planting things in the wrong place just because we've said we will. It's about doing it right. So there will be lots of trees going in, and the White Rose Forest, when that funding bid is complete, that's when the tree planting will really begin, because we have to identify areas so by this time next year where we will be planting trees. So the majority of the planting will start autumn 2022 rather than 2021.
Thank you, Chris. Yes, and be assured that you will know when volunteers are needed. Facebook, email, and our newsletter, because we certainly will need volunteers. And we're hoping that the local schools will be involved as well. So we're looking forward to it just as much as you. Could I also say that now you've seen our faces, if you want to ask any questions during the day, please approach any one of us and we'll evade the questions. Time for one more question, Chris says, down at the front. And this is the last. And look forward to the tree planting ceremony.
My question's about future funding. In most situations, the more money you have, the quicker that you can move. In terms of raising ongoing funding, not shareholding, so income to do things, are there any plans for that? And do you need people involved in that?
Can I ask you to hand the microphone over to Alan? He can answer that, I'm sure.
Oh, great.
Bear in mind that the White Rose Forest funding bid is a considerable bid, and that will give us a grant for woodland creation on top of what we already hold. So yeah, there will be, you know, it's not a case of having to, as I say, rush it and do it quickly. In order to, tree planting is the new rock and roll. You know, it's the time for tree planting. There's people giving money for tree planting left, right and centre so that we can meet our sort of climate change goals and things like that. So we're seeking money at the right time, and there's only too many people out there willing to give it. You know, for a project like this, you know, people come to us. So
that's it. Thank you everybody for being so patient listening to the reports, and thank you for your questions. Could I now start you to think about the tree planting ceremony? It'll be the first one on Longlands Common, and I'm going to hand over to Chris to explain what's going to happen. But before that, the BioBlitz, which is on your agenda, will be explained after we've planted the trees by Keith Wilkins. So be patient, and I'll hand over to Chris about the tree planting.
So you'll probably notice that we've created this mound. So this is all the spoil from the gateways. So all Hack's work was any topsoil, clay, it all went here. And the idea was, another permaculture principle is create no waste. So, what we generate on one side of the site, we'll try and find a use for another one. And the idea of the mound is, it's an ancient one. It comes from pre-Roman times when people mapped the land with marks on the landscape. That's how ley lines were created. So we've created our own ley line here, because this mound is exactly, in line with that tree and the great oak down there. And it also affords fantastic views of Nidderdale. Yeah. And the way that the ancient people marked mounds was by planting Scots pines. No. So a native species that you can see from miles around. But in 100 years' time, you'll be able to see them from Greenhow Hill, which is the hill on the right. So if you've got the oak there in the distance, to the left you've got Simon's Seat. So they're your Pennine Hills, and then you've got the biggest sort of hill that you can see is Greenhow Hill, and with a pair of binoculars you can see Coldstone's Cup. Well, in 100 years' time, with a pair of binoculars, you'll be able to see these trees from up there. So, so we thought we'd get. We were going to plant one, and then it was buy one get one free, so we're going to plant 4. So, and the first thought was, who should we get to plant them? Shall we invite some big wig, some VIP? And I thought, no. And then, who deserves to plant them? And you didn't hear that. So when I talked about the sculpture, I thought, wouldn't it be great if we got the Iron Cyclist and the Bird Box Man and the Child of the Future from beside the Greenway footpath down to Nid Viaduct to plant the first tree. So we've got Malcolm, Keith, and we've got Avery Hamilton who represents the child of the future. Now Avery's a award-winning conservationist, 6 years old. Is that right? Hello! A member of the illustrious Hamilton clan. And so Avery's going to come up and plant the first tree, along with Keith and Malcolm. And then, if anybody else has, anybody who wants to plant a tree, so any children of the future who want to plant a tree, or adults of the future, then make your way up. Yeah. So we'll plant the first one, and then we'll. We'd like to go up, Sam. Plant one. Anybody else? Don't be shy. Lad in the back.
No. Yeah.
Very close. A bit like my backyard. To make
This civilization. The Marcus.
Can we have a bit of hush, please? This is a philosophical moment.
They say the Marcus civilization. When I'm 118, I'm come back to 40 years ago, the conservation group formed in similar situations, resisting a road, and all the detritus in Nick Road, red cars, badger baiting. It was horrible. We worked 40 years, we never owned the land. We were servicing the land. You won't face the property. You won't have badger baiting. You won't have flights in cars. But you will have bigger challenges. You will be challenged by climate change. And this is turning the tide in Harrogate. A small beginning. Unique. Best of luck.
Avery says trees are important. He says for every one you cut down you must plant 3 more. The first tree is called Dave. Named after who? Named after Papa Scruff, her granddad. David Hamilton, MBE. Keith Wilkinson, MBE.
Indeed. That's that guy with the blue fleece in there. He's right in my shot. I've got a perfect line to tree planting.
I can't.
In there, fucking tell him to move.
The next tree is going to be planted by Callum. Keith, do you want to sort this one out as well? Tree first, this one's called.
Well, I will.
Got Dave and Tree McTree first. This land is your land. This land is your land.
No, no.
Can somebody get some string from somewhere, please? Donna, have you got some string there? Thank you, Callum. Would you like to say anything? Here, here. Thank you, Callum. What have we got next? So who have we got here? Logan and Fern. Planting the third tree. And what's this tree going to be called? So I've got Dave, Tree McTreeface, and this one's called Mary. After Logan's friend at nursery. Right, we need a tree. Anybody else like to plant this tree as well? What's your name? Oman, Fern and Logan. This is Mary. Maybe you need to wait for the next one. Choose a name before anybody else.
When I was listening to your Q&As, I was thinking maybe a local scout groups would come and help you. I'm a group scout leader from 15 Harrogate, and Uma is our cub. So I think we could come and help you and offer help on the land. Not only our group, but other scout groups. He loves his turbines. Yes, you can see the turbines over there. They are turning. Well done. Yes. So, yes, I know. So I think that the group scout groups in the district can help you plant the trees or doing any other work. So we have young people from the ages from 6 all the way to 18, all the way to explorers. So that would be a nice cooperation.
Thank you very much. That's a great planting job. Doesn't need a piece of string or a guard. That could grow to be the tallest. We've got one left. Everybody else? Can we get everybody else in with Keith planting this last one? Everybody wants one, so nobody misses out. This one's called Princess.
All big trees to make a big
Princess Bob
line. So when you stand up there, those 4 trees will make with that tree there and the big oak tree.
Everybody get in this one that wants to
the biggest
take ownership of Princess Bob.
Hill in the far distance, yeah, and so that will they call ley lines, view line. So when you're on the big hill over there, they've got a big kind of stone sculpture on the top of the hill, which you can see all over. You'll be able to see here and there, because these trees will be 100-foot tall trees like the ones on plate. Yeah, they're tall and slim, so they don't cast any much shadow. They're head-on straight stems, like the ones just along on plate. So they're not pushy trees or anything. They won't take on the room. It's not going to soil. Get washed off. Oh, no, it's too much to spoil. It's going to be a nature. I mentioned about seat halfway round. But I don't think they really want to do that. They don't want to do it to a park. But not a bench, but more like a fallen down log. Like, but stone, that kind of thing you can sell. Because some people don't walk that far, you know, they need to sit down. Okay, that's a good idea. I'm going to tell him now before I forget.
No, they've walked. No, I walked down to the
I'm going to go and chat with the lady in the power chair.
Yeah. We've got Jeff to conclude proceedings.
Could I just have your attention finally, folks, to draw a conclusion to the formal AGM. Thank you very much for being patient, especially with Chris's speech. And thank you for participating so well. The day isn't over. If you haven't had your picnic yet, there is still plenty of time. But I'd like, before you start to wrap your hampers, to listen to Keith Williams, who's going to explain to you what occurs during the biopics.
Now this is, can you hear me? Yeah. This is for everyone. Little kids and big kids. We're trying to capture, in this next couple of hours, what wildlife lives here. So if anyone wants to take part, you can manage about 85 of you. A family group, no wife teams, whatever. Follow it to the table and pick up a plastic pot with a mission inside it. Mission A or mission B. And see what it takes. Bring what you find back to the table, and then we'll try and catalogue it. Just see what you've seen. 2 hours on a sunny afternoon in July on Longlands Common. So see you too.
Thanks very much, Tom. And enjoy the rest of the day, folks.
Yeah, he says.
So we're hoping we can maybe do something else.